Stop the cap.
Oh, oh man, it's about to be nigga Damas up in this bitch. Ooh, man. Okay. So I wanted to do some testing. So I grabbed something that I had written a while ago. Y'all have seen the video that I did. I think it's in it might be on this page or it might be on the other page. The other, the one that I had to put on private. Um, SWP page. But I had a video called Societally Destabilizing, and I had some things I had written down, some notes and whatnot. It's funny because the AI podcasters call it a book. I'm like, I that I mean that barely made it would make a chapter, but in any event, they got. I mean, I am totally blown away by the AI. I mean, again, the inflections, even the critical thinking, so I just took it, put it in. This is Notebook LM that I'm using. Basically, I was on Instagram and I came across somebody who was talking about it. I said, let me go check this shit out. So I went and I checked it out, and goddamn, I mean, seriously. Um, yeah. I mean, somebody wrote in the comment section, they were like SWP NPR. Nah, no joke, no joke. That's that. I am totally blown away. Shit. I need to make a whole nother channel and just upload my thoughts and let them go back and forth. I mean, seriously. Um, but yeah, I'll just let it play. But I am thoroughly, thoroughly impressed. By this, AI podcaster. I mean, yeah. I mean, some of you writing comments in the comment section talk, yeah, jobs. The irony is here you have AI podcasters talking about what I wrote about, in reference to, the, dwindling economic opportunities, for men and, where this society is headed. And it's the AI itself that is, bringing about that change. I mean, aside from, I mean, let's face it, the white oligarchs, they never want to pay anybody. But I'm saying you sprinkle AI on top of that, and then it's like, well, what do I need? What do I need? I mean, this goes back to freaking Tyler Perry and why he canceled his $1 billion studio. I forget the name of the AI software, but the one that's like making movies. People are on YouTube. They're making no, excuse me, movie trailers for movies that don't exist. Like movies that everybody wants to see, like hypothetical movies that they're like, wouldn't it be cool if we had, a remake of this? I saw a video. It was of Street Fighter, but it was like real to life, Street Fighter, or they'll do something like The Matrix, but in 1950s, like, I mean, it's not fully there yet, but it'll get there. It'll get there. I mean, they're already talking about um AGI, artificial generalized intelligence, by 2030. This is what they're talking about, and they really don't know how the neural networks work, because, or the AI works, because it's neural networks. So eventually it's going to get to Ghost in the Machines, and then you're going to have, artificial generalized intelligence. But personally, I think that they probably already have Ghost in the Machines. When you get into the reasoning, Chat GPT has like two upgraded versions from Chat. I think it's Chat GPT 0. There's like two other versions that are up from that have to do more with research and more reasoning for more complex things. Honestly, I don't even need it for, all of that. I'm just saying this is what's transpiring. But anyway, um, enjoy the podcast. I think it's just funny, how it's funny, and just, I don't know, it's mind blowing how, they broke down what I wrote, and like I'm telling you, I mean it's I mean it was just, a bunch of like, not bullet points. I can't say it was bullet points. There was paragraphs there, but it was just me jotting down some of my ideas. But anyway, um yeah. So enjoy. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Are you ready for this? I mean, this is some heavy stuff, and
Yeah.
it's gonna make you think, that's for sure.
Buckle up.
Today, we're diving headfirst into Sergeant Willie Pete's book, Societally Destabilizing. We're dissecting this excerpt, and I have to say,
Yep.
some seriously potent stuff here.
Yeah, this excerpt really doesn't pull any punches,
No.
especially when it comes to, well, the challenges that men in Western societies are facing.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack Willie Pete's perspective on the role of elites,
Okay.
how men are struggling in today's economy,
Okay.
and what might happen if we just keep ignoring these issues.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm feeling like there's aha moments already, bubbling up.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
One of the first things that caught my eye was this idea of the Black community
Okay.
being a sort of canary in the coal mine
Right.
for broader societal trends.
Oh, the powerful analogy, isn't it? He's suggesting that what's happening in the Black community today
Right.
might actually foreshadow
Uh-huh.
what's coming down the pipe for the white community.
Right.
Almost like, hey, look over here.
Yeah.
This might be a glimpse
Yeah.
into your future.
Okay, let's play this out, right? Let's say those in power are actually paying attention to these trends.
Okay.
Is Willie Pete kind of implying that they're deliberately ignoring the long game?
Oh, for sure.
Kind of like those, like farmers who
Oh.
deplete the soil for short-term gain.
That's the question he's raising, and it's a really important one.
Yeah.
You know, are those at the top, are they so focused on
Yeah.
immediate profits and power that they're willing to sacrifice
Right.
the long-term sustainability?
Yeah.
Are they playing a dangerous game
Yeah.
of short-term gains at the expense of the future?
It really makes you wonder, like, are we on a path that's just fundamentally unsustainable?
Right.
And then before we before we even, go too far down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
Willie Pete throws another curveball, right? He challenges this whole notion of a unified white community.
Mm-hmm.
He calls it an illusion.
He does.
Right.
And he suggests that this illusion is being very carefully maintained
Yeah.
through a very clever tactic, scapegoating,
Right.
by, blaming Jewish conspiracies or Black individuals.
Yeah.
Willie Pete argues that the
Right.
focus is shifted
Right.
away from the internal class divisions
Right.
within the white community itself.
Yeah.
It's like a magician's trick, right?
Yeah.
You're diverting attention away from the real issues,
Yeah.
the actions of the white elites.
So instead of actually confronting the power dynamics
Right.
within their own group,
Within their own group.
he's saying that some white men are distracted by these external enemies, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's food for thought, right?
Yeah. Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Willie Pete doesn't shy away from,
Yep.
tackling the big elephant in the room,
Right.
capitalism.
Oh yeah. No, he doesn't shy away from that at all.
Yeah.
He's very, very upfront about the fact that capitalism at its core
Mm-hmm.
is about maximizing profit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to believe that that's always compatible
Like
with the well-being of individuals or
Right.
society as a whole.
He kind of calls out this disconnect between,
Yeah.
those who kind of lament the decline of Western civilization, right?
Right. Yeah.
While seemingly ignoring the economic realities faced by many,
Mm-hmm.
especially men.
Right. It's almost like he's saying
Yeah.
you can't preach about traditional values and then turn a blind eye to the economic struggles
Right.
of the very people you expect to uphold those values.
Right. And that brings us to, I think, like, the crux of his argument
Okay.
is the absolute necessity of financial stability,
Okay.
particularly for men, right?
And he links this directly to the ability to create and support a traditional family structure, right?
Right.
One that's rooted in what he calls patriarchal values.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because Willie Pete's basically asking, like,
Yeah.
how can a patriarchal society actually thrive
Yeah.
if a huge chunk of men are struggling financially?
Right.
He's suggesting that Without that solid economic foundation,
Yeah.
the whole structure starts to crumble.
And then he even goes on to take on certain feminist arguments, claiming that they clash with what he calls women's biological desires.
Right.
He even throws in like a real-world example, bringing up Tommy Learn complaining about, the lack of men on her level, right?
Yeah.
While simultaneously opposing policies that are aimed at, supporting young men's advancement.
Now, this is where Willie Pete's probably going to ruffle some feathers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his take on feminism is definitely provocative.
For sure.
He's suggesting that, advocating for men
Right.
to achieve financial success isn't about undermining women.
Right.
It's about creating a society where everyone can thrive.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's saying, if you want men to follow certain societal norms, like, you need to incentivize it.
Okay.
It can't just be about fear of punishment. There have to be tangible rewards, right?
Right.
And for Williepete, that reward seems to be tied directly to financial stability.
He's making a very compelling point.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's saying, if you want a stable society built on these traditional values, you have to create an economic environment that allows men to actually achieve those values.
Right.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah, and to drive home this point, Bryce's point, Williepete lays out what he thinks could happen if things just keep going down this path, and are you ready for this?
Yeah.
He goes full-on dystopia. He references Mad Max and The Road.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a little jarring.
Right.
But it's a very powerful way to illustrate the potential consequences of societal breakdown.
Right.
He's not talking about some theoretical future out there.
Yeah.
He's talking about a world where might makes, right? And where the very things feminists are fighting for, like safety and security, are the first to go.
Okay, whoa. That paints a vivid picture.
Yeah.
So before we start prepping our Mad Max survival kits, let's unpack what Williepete sees as some of these driving forces behind this potential societal collapse.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. What's next? What's next on Williepete's hit list?
So this is where we really start to dig into the meat of his arguments. And we see what nuggets of wisdom or perhaps controversy we can unearth.
Let's do it.
So one of those striking things Williepete does is he draws this unsettling parallel between how society views men who achieve success through illegal activities versus those who do it, the quote-unquote right way through hard work and legitimate means.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. It's like he's saying the lines have become blurred and society is sending these mixed messages about what it really values.
Right.
So is he suggesting that this blurring of lines is actually contributing to a decline in traditional values and the stability they once provided?
Yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
He even uses this really provocative phrase, get carjacked.
Whoa.
It's jarring, right? It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Highlighting these potential consequences of societal breakdown.
Right.
And the disillusionment that can fuel it.
It makes you wonder what happens when those traditional pathways to success become less appealing, less attainable, or even less respected. Like, what happens when the rules no longer seem to apply?
For sure. It's a slippery slope.
It is. That's a pretty dark thought, but it's definitely thought-provoking.
Yeah.
But he doesn't stop there, right?
No, he doesn't.
He goes on to critique the silent generation and the boomers, arguing that they essentially pulled up the ladder behind them, securing benefits for themselves while leaving younger generations to fend for themselves.
Right, and this leads right into his argument about the broken social contract. He's suggesting that when older generations prioritize their own well-being over the needs of younger generations, it creates this sense of resentment and a real breakdown of trust in the system.
So he's basically saying that if younger generations feel like they're being shut out of the opportunities that were available to their parents or grandparents, they're going to start questioning the legitimacy of the whole system.
Exactly. And that's where things can get really unstable.
Right.
He brings up this chilling report from the Canadian RCMP expressing concern over the potential for widespread social unrest.
Wow.
If young people realize they'll likely never be able to afford a home.
Okay, so that kind of like loops back to his point about the importance of tangible assets, like home ownership, not just for individual stability, but for stability of society as a whole.
I mean, historically, excluding large segments of the population from land ownership has often led to instability.
Right.
And Williepete seems to think that the current housing crisis is really exacerbating this sense of disillusionment and inequality that he thinks is already brewing.
He then goes on to critique what he sees as this shifting definition of personal responsibility. What was once considered responsible, holding down a job, securing some basic benefits, it's now seen as inadequate.
It's like the goalposts have moved, right? The expectation now is that you have like multiple income streams, investments, diversified portfolio, like you're supposed to be a financial superhero.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if we're setting these like unrealistic expectations for young people.
Yeah. Are we setting them to fail?
Right. And he definitely seems to think so. He cautions against just labeling those who haven't achieved this level of financial success as simply lazy or undeserving.
Right, right.
It's almost like he's saying that the system itself is setting people up for failure.
Yeah.
And then blaming them for not succeeding.
It's a very provocative argument.
It is.
He's challenging us to look beyond like individual choices and to consider the systemic factor that might be contributing to these outcomes.
Yeah, and he ends on a pretty ominous note.
He does.
When trust in the system erodes and inequality persists, revolution becomes a real possibility.
It's a dire warning. He even invokes the Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
Reminding us of the right to alter or abolish a government that fails to uphold its end of the social contract.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that throughout history, when people feel like their voices aren't being heard and their needs aren't being met, they've often resorted to pretty drastic measures.
Wow. Okay, so we've taken this deep dive into Williepete's dark and somewhat terrifying vision of the future, right?
Yeah.
But where do we go from here? What are your takeaways from all of this?
Well, it's clear that Williepete believes that financial instability, particularly for men, is a major threat to traditional societal structures.
Okay.
He's not saying it's the only factor, but he's arguing that it's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And you know, he's not just pointing fingers, he's actually offering some potential solutions.
Okay, solutions. All right, I'm all ears. Tell me more about what Williepete proposes we do about all this. Okay, so he's painted this like pretty bleak picture, but thankfully he doesn't just leave us hanging like on this cliff of despair, right? So what's the antidote? What's the antidote to this Mad Max scenario?
Well, you know, he's a big believer in making it more appealing to play by the rules than to break them.
Right.
He argues that fear alone isn't enough.
Right.
You actually have to offer viable alternatives and guarantee certain outcomes for those who, you know, follow the path that's laid out for them.
So it's not just about cracking down on those who step outside the lines.
Right.
It's about creating a system where following the rules actually leads to a good life.
Right.
A life where you can actually achieve those traditional markers of success.
Exactly.
Right.
He's suggesting that we need to create a society where men feel like they have a real chance to succeed, you know, financially and otherwise, by playing by the rules.
Right.
And a big part of that is ensuring access to education, job training, opportunities for advancement.
So it sounds like he's advocating for like a system that's more supportive rather than like purely punitive. Right. He's not just saying do this or else.
Exactly.
He's saying here's a path, here's the support you need, and here's what you can achieve if you follow it.
It's like a roadmap, right?
Right, yeah.
He's arguing that we need to incentivize good behavior, not just punish bad behavior. And for Williepete, a huge part of that incentivization is tied to financial stability.
So basically, if you want people to buy into the system,
you got to show them that the system actually works for them.
Exactly.
Right. Like it has to deliver on its promises.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
He's essentially saying that the social contract
Yeah.
has to be a two-way street.
Okay.
Society has to provide individuals with the opportunities and support they need to succeed.
Yeah.
And in return, individuals have to be willing to play by the rules and contribute to the well-being of society.
Which brings us back to his point about...
It all comes back to that, yeah.
Economic empowerment, right.
Yeah.
It's not just about individual success. It's about creating a more stable and harmonious...
Absolutely. He believes that when people feel like they have a fair shot at a good life, they're less likely to resort to those desperate measures. They're more likely to invest in their community, support their families, contribute to the overall well-being of society. This has been a wild ride.
It has.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting to end up here when we started this deep dive. It's like we went from examining societal trends to questioning like the very foundations of our economic and social systems.
That's the power of a good deep dive.
Yeah, it really is.
It can take you to unexpected places and challenge you to think about things in new ways.
It really has. So what do we do with all this? What are some like key takeaways? What are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we need to start having some really serious conversations about the direction our society is heading in.
Yeah.
Are we on a sustainable path?
Right.
Are we creating a society where everyone has an opportunity to thrive? Or are we heading towards a future that looks more like, a dystopian movie than the world we want to live in?
Those are some heavy questions.
They are?
But they're questions we can't afford to ignore.
We can't.
Williepete's perspective, while controversial, it's definitely given me a new lens through which to view these issues.
I agree. It's a perspective that challenges us to think critically about the systems we've created.
Right.
And to ask ourselves whether those systems are truly serving the needs of the people.
It's a lot to ponder. What resonates most with you from our deep dive into Williepete's world? What questions are you wrestling with? And most importantly, what actions are you inspired to take? Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and keep diving deep.